Hi, this is Ryan Phillips. Happy April Fool's Day. Just returning back from the Larry Evans Memorial Open back in Las Vegas. Feels good to be back. Definitely an exciting day in the chess world as looks like Magnus Carlsen will be playing Vishy Anand for the World Championship. Definitely unexpected last day with both Carlsen and Kramnik losing. Didn't really feel like Carlsen won the tournament. I mean, obviously, you have to take his results over the whole 2 weeks, which I guess made him the winner based on the tiebreak system. But definitely felt like he struggled to complete the task. So it was surprising to me that I mean, to me, it's just the tough format for a tournament. Perfectly honest, I actually was rooting for Carlsen, so it's not any kind of like sour grapes. Just seemed like Kramnik was kind of in a difficult position because he didn't know what result he had to play for. Obviously, if he knew that Carlsen was going to lose his game, then he could just play for a draw. So it was really tricky. It sounded like a lot of the decisions he made in the game were based on the fact that he assumed that Carlsen would at least get a draw. So he was definitely playing for the win. So yeah, I thought it was interesting. Just I don't know, just from a psychological standpoint, I thought it was it didn't really have a lot to do with chess. It seemed like Kramnik was making decisions more based on match situation or tournament situation, I should say, rather than just trying to play his best chess. So I kind of feel bad for Kramnik. You know, maybe the tiebreak system in the future, maybe they'll discover there are some flaws with just having the tiebreak being whoever had the most wins would win the tiebreak. So maybe that'll be something they fix next year or next cycle. All right. Anyway, on to the game. So this is my round one game. I played Colin Chow. I've seen his name around a lot. I mean, the chess community is not too big, especially on the West Coast. I don't think I've ever played him before though, but he looked familiar. I think he was rated like 2198 officially, and I looked him up on US Chess after the game. I think he's surpassed 2200 now, so he's definitely I don't know what it's called after 2200. He's I guess oh no 2200. So I guess he's a master strength player. Sorry about that. Anyway, so yeah, he's master strength player now. So real talented player. I guess looked pretty young, probably like 15 or 16. I'm not exactly sure. Anyway, I thought I got a pretty good game out of the opening. I probably just made a couple of inaccuracies with h6 and rook e8 maybe, I think. Kind of curious what the computer says. But I think I made some inaccuracies transitioning from the late opening to the early middle game stages of the game, which my opponent kind of took advantage of. And then even after that, I thought I had some good drawing possibilities, but I think I made too many inaccurate moves. Anyway, on to the game. So opening with the Sicilian. And yeah, I don't know. I'm starting to get really worried about playing this opening just because I know if my opponent knows the Najdorf line's pretty deep, he could easily rattle off like 20, 25 moves. And I don't want to just memorize the game of chess. I do have some deviations in my opening repertoire that I could play from the Najdorf, so I could at least try to get out of book a little bit. But still, I'm starting to get like a little just hesitant to play this opening just because I'm worried that my opponent's gonna know the mainline Najdorf extremely well and just be basically memorizing the game. And I know in a lot of the lines, white sacrifice some pieces and black's position is pretty. It's a tight rope. So basically, if I don't have all the moves memorized exactly, I could easily make an inaccuracy and get checkmated. So, or even if not checkmated, get to a pretty inferior type position. So yeah, I'm trying to think about whether I want to play this opening moving forward, but we'll see. So far I think my results have been pretty good in it. If I think back to my chess career, I think it's been a pretty good opening for me. So anyway, my opponent deviated though, bishop b5. So in a way, I'm almost kind of happy to see his move. So I know I'm not playing into a 25-30 move Najdorf prepared line. I'm not too worried about this move. I never really felt tremendous difficulties when facing it. So I wanted to take my opponent out of book. I figured he was assuming I'd play bishop d7, which is the most common move according to the Ripka database. But I played knight d7. It's funny when you just memorize chess. I probably would just play bishop d7, except for I saw a Kasparov game where he played knight d7, And it's probably something I just would have assumed that bishop d7 is the move and played that for years and years. Then you see someone like Kasparov, he plays knight d7, so it's obviously nothing tactically wrong with the move or positionally for that matter either probably. Um, so yeah, so I figured knight d7 is less played move and it's a perfectly acceptable move. So why not try this route? And also I think it didn't happen in this game, but a lot of times you could try to get the bishop pair like a6. Sometimes I played a game in Reno and the guy just gave me the bishop pair. He just played after a6. He just played bishop takes d7, and I ended up winning that game after I thought I got a pretty good opening in that game and went on to win. Uh, Relatively painless. My opponent had some counterplay at some point in the late stage of the game, but I thought for the most part I had the advantage the whole game. All right, so let's focus on this game though. So castle, and then knight g to f6. So just a logical developing move, just trying to get my piece developed. White's already castled, so I'm trying to get castled pretty quickly and catch up on development. So my opponent played rook e1. So far I thought the game was very logical. Just very sensible moves were made. Just rook on e1 supports the e4 pawn and potentially e5 break could come at some point. And then also gives a retreat square for the bishop, so the bishop on b5 could possibly retreat back to f1. So yeah, so I thought so far everything was pretty standard. Ed Klein on Facebook recommended a6, which is the computer's move. So that's very good chess instincts from Ed. He said he didn't really know exactly why he thought this would be the best move, but that would make my life pretty easy. So anyway, I didn't really consider a6 too serious in this position. I was really just looking at e5 and e6. I didn't really want to play e5 because I thought that after c3 and d4, I can't hold on to the d4 square anyway. So the knight being on d7 rather than c6, I'm not exerting influence on the d4 square. So I thought e5 was probably too weakening. I thought, like I said, white's going to get d4 in anyway, and now the d5 square is open. So I decided to play more cautiously. I don't know if cautious is the right word. I thought this is a more logical move, so I'll take that cautious. I think this is a more logical move to play e6. And the idea is just to play bishop e7 to get castled. So pretty straightforward and simple. So white played c3 here, trying to play d4, obviously. And then here I played bishop e7, so just completing my development. And then my opponent played d4. So far everything is quite logical. Here I'm frustrated with myself because I ended up playing c takes d4. And prior to getting this position, when my opponent played c3, obviously d4 is a very logical move. I said I don't want to play c takes d4 because after my opponent recaptured c takes d4, now this c3 square is available for the white knight. So I didn't want to play this, but after 20 minutes of I don't know, was it 20 minutes? It was a little bit of a think. My initial instinct was to play castle, which is the best move. But I saw something I didn't like. I was worried about castle. I was worried about something with this line. I don't know why. So this is all This is all just seeing ghosts. And I don't even have to take knight takes d7, by the way. So bishop takes d7 is fine. And then d5. And then computer likes b5 here, which is interesting. Play for queenside expansion. Bishop on d7 supports the square. Yeah, I think I was just too worried maybe about this d pawn becoming backwards. So even e takes d5, e takes d5. And then, yeah, it looks like I kind of have like a Benoni type structure I thought here with the bishop on e7 rather than g7. And I don't know, I think I was just too worried about the d6 pawn for some reason. Even though I really have nothing to be worried about. I thought maybe like bishop f4 was coming, and then maybe knight d2 to c4 piling up on this d6 pawn. But I guess I for some reason I don't have to worry about that too much. I guess it looks like I have some tempo over the Benoni lines in that it looks like white's structure isn't as good as the mainline Benoni and the way it normally comes about. So I guess this is kind of an advantageous Benoni type structure look like. So anyway, yeah. So I was too pessimistic that castling was no good, and I think that made my game a lot more difficult than it should have been. So anyway, I played c takes d4, and I don't think this is a losing move or anything, but I just think it makes life a little bit tougher for black is all. So I completed my development castle. So white has a small edge out of the opening, but nothing too alarming. So knight c3, and then I played a6. And now my opponent surprised me a little bit with bishop d3. I was expecting bishop f1. So my opponent played bishop d3 here. And then the idea is for white is to hopefully push e5 and then get a strong attack on my king. So I figured I should stop that idea before it gained any traction from my opponent. So I played e5 myself. And now I thought I had kind of like a Philidor type position, but with the open c file. So it was, it was an interesting type of position. So obviously the e5 point is my strong point. I need to maintain this. I don't even really think I can consider e takes d4 at any. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say I can't consider it, but I think this e5 strong point is pretty crucial. So I'm trying to keep my center strong at all costs. So I think my opponent kind of didn't know what to do, so he thought for a little bit and came up with h3, which was a good plan, I guess. And then I thought for a while as black, and I ended up playing h6. So the idea was I wanted to play rook e8 and bishop f8, but I was worried that without playing h6 that my opponent could play bishop g5, and then after rook e8, knight d5 or something when the bishop moves. So I wanted to play h6 to stop the bishop from developing itself to g5. And now my opponent played queen b3, which is a move that I didn't expect at all. I wasn't considering this move for my opponent. So the idea is basically, I'm sorry, I messed up the move order. Bishop e3 first. I'm sorry about that. So this move I was expecting. So I was expecting bishop to e3. And then my plan when my opponent played bishop e3 was I was going to play rook e8, so that was my initial idea, so I played that. So I guess this plan with h6 and rook e8 isn't as bad as I thought. So the computer says was actually recommending these moves, but my opponent's getting a slight pull. So definitely have a nice little advantage. So 0.6, I don't know, I think it's still probably a draw position with accurate play from this point on. But obviously when your opponent has a slight advantage, you have to play more accurately just to hold the position. So my position is already a little difficult, but I wouldn't say I didn't think I got a bad position at the opening. So my opponent played queen b3. Again, I wasn't expecting this move. And then, yeah, I guess I was just too worried about this d6 pawn, I think, the whole game. So the computer's recommending e takes d4. And then, yeah, this looks like a total, this wasn't the variation played in the game. This is like a total computer variation to me. I mean, this d6 pawn just looks really weak to me, and then the white rooks have the open, fully open c file and a half open d file to operate on. So I can't fault myself for not playing this variation. I don't believe. I think this would be a hard variation to see. So I guess this is something I need to. I don't know. Maybe I could try to improve on these type of positions, but I think I would have had a hard time playing this line. I guess the d6 pawn supports the c5 square, so the knight obviously wants to go to c5 possibly. But yeah, I don't. This d6 pawn just looks terrible to me. So after queen b3, I was debating between b5 and b6. I was worried after b5 though about a4. So that's the reason why I rejected b5. So I went with b6 here. And now my opponent played rook a to d1. So trying to make life a little bit difficult. So the queen and the rook are lined up, and it may look like there's a lot of pieces in the way, but this is easily be a problem for me. So say I waste the move with like, or now say I actually play a logical move. Say I play bishop b7, then d takes is good, and then bishop c4, and then rook fa was always forcing these lines. I have no other way of guarding the f7 pawn, and then just knight takes e5. So even though it seemed like there's a lot of pieces in the way on the d file, this rook's actually putting a lot of pressure on my queen. So I decided to get out of the pin with queen c7. And then my opponent played an inaccurate move, I thought, here with rook c1. And then, yeah, I thought my position was a little bit better than this, but apparently not. So apparently I did get a worse game out of the opening than I thought. So the computer's critical of my position. I thought my game wasn't too bad here. So I ended up playing queen b8, which I thought was actually where I wanted to put the queen in the first place. So I thought this was a logical move. So now we kind of went to a forced continuation. So my opponent played, hold on, my opponent played d takes e5 first. And I played d takes e5. And now my opponent played bishop c4. And the line was pretty interesting from here. So I played rook f8, which is forced. And then my opponent played knight h4. And it looks like I have this nice move, knight c5, which I didn't consider. So I was worried. See, this is a very nice line because what's going to end up happening is that this knight's going to be trapped. So if the knight takes here, take, now this knight's trapped. So if queen takes, rook takes, and now the knight has nowhere to go to. So this is a beautiful line. So I missed this during the game. So knight c5, I rejected knight c5 because I thought this bishop takes c5 was good. But apparently I have this nice trap of this knight over here. So that would have been that was a tough variation to see, and I missed that one. So after, so I played, I thought b5 was necessary, so that's what I ended up playing. And then my opponent just continued with knight g6, and I took, take. And then here I had a tough decision, I thought, between king h8 and king h7. Computer showing this as dead equal, so I guess my torment in my head was justified, because I really couldn't figure out which move was better. I mean, I was thinking, and the only thing I could come up with instinctively was that on h7, I never had to worry about any knight g6 tricks, and I thought it would be nice to put my king on a different color from the white bishop. But I guess the drawback with the king on h7 is now anytime the knight on f6 gets taken, it's with check, and that neglects some possible intermediate moves for me. So it took me a while. I think in retrospect, king h8 is a nicer move, or better move slightly. I ended up playing king h7. So my opponent played queen takes c4 here. Sorry about that. And then my opponent's after the game, he thought after bishop b7, I was perfectly fine. But computer evaluation is not supporting that statement, so I think I'm in a lot of trouble here. So I ended up getting a little greedy, taking this pawn. And my opponent played rook b1, and I played queen a3. And I thought my opponent played kind of a lesser move, played knight c6, which I didn't think was very good. I was expecting knight c to d5. So I guess computer says that this isn't such a good move either, but that's what I was expecting. So, but knight f5 looks, what's the threat here? I guess knight f5 is just a better attacking square, but I'm not really sure what it leads to immediately. There's probably some cool tactics here that I'm not seeing at the moment. Yeah, I don't really see it. I guess the knight's just well placed here, and I can't play g6 because then the h6 pawn drops. Anyway, though, so my opponent played knight c6, and then I played queen d6. I thought this was forced and real easy. I thought that was an easy move to find and the best in the position, so I played that pretty quickly. Then my opponent played rook e to d1, if I remember correctly. Yep, and then I played queen c7, and again I thought this was basically forced. I guess queen e6 is possible, so that's something I could have considered. But I had queen c7 in mind already if my opponent played rook e to d1, and then knight d5, and then I think knight takes d5 is basically forced here, so I have to give up the passed pawn, unfortunately. And then, yeah, in this position I should just play queen to d6. And even though the computer evaluation doesn't like my position too much, I think I'm actually holding on okay here. Um, yeah, I think I'm gonna survive after queen d6. I think the game is far from over. But unfortunately, I blundered pretty badly with bishop b7. And then, yeah, in this position, I was pretty pretty well lost anyway. But I ended up making life. I put the dagger in my own heart much quicker than necessary. So I put rook fc8, just totally overlooking queen d3 check, and then I resigned here. So I thought it was a tough first round game, but it was good to get a good opponent. Um, I don't know. In retrospect, I guess uh, I guess b6 was probably probably the big mistake. Thinking maybe after b6 it looked like my life got kind of difficult. I think maybe just b5, and then I probably have a good game. So let's just overlook. Let's go with this again. So b5, a4, and the computer's saying e takes. Oh shoot, who's saying missing that? Okay. And then yeah, sorry. I guess if this is a video, I should be talking more. I'm just really enthralled in this variation here. But yeah. Anyway, I guess this is really good for yeah. I guess this is pretty good for black here. And I guess a move like rook a to d1, just c4. Yeah, so very interesting. So it looked like if I would have played b5 instead of b6, I would have I probably would be fighting for the half point instead of getting into a pretty tough position. So I mean, I knew that b5 would be good to stop the c4 to take away the c4 square from the bishop. I just thought a4 would be stronger than it than it turned out to be. It didn't turn out to be very strong at all. So let's look at another variation. Um, I'm not going to play knight takes e5 here. Oh, that's interesting. Why do I keep forgetting about this bishop? Alright, sorry about that. Alright, that won't happen again. Yeah, so it looks like my position's fine. Huh, so b5 was the move to play. Interesting. Anyway, though, I wasn't too disappointed when I playing this game. I thought it was a fun game, and my opponent was pretty strong. I think Ed's suggestion with a6 would help me a lot, but I feel like I played fairly well. Um, I wasn't too disappointed with the way I handled the opening. Um, Probably just bishop b7 here is weak. If I play queen d6, I think my position is a lot more stodgy than it seems. Because the idea after queen d6, I'm hoping to play eventually at a5 and bishop a6 to complete my development. And I think that's a reasonable plan. And then actually after queen d6, the computer is saying after knight a7, queen g6. I think this is a plan I can find pretty easily actually. And then after like a knight f6 maybe, now I'm exploiting the pin on the g pawn, so I have a bishop takes h3 idea. So anyway, yeah, this was a fun game. Hopefully I'll learn a lot from it. And it's always nice when you get to play different openings and your opponent's not just playing strictly mainline Najdorf stuff. So hopefully I'll get better at this system. And it was definitely a good learning experience. So this is my round one. I'll definitely be recording the video for round two now. Thank you.